So to help with South Africa's energy crisis, President Cyril Ramaphosa announced donations of 170 million rand in emergency power equipment, as well as an additional 500 million rand grant from China. On Wednesday, the Minister of Energy, Dr. Hosienso Ramogopa, signed a memorandum of cooperation with 8 Chinese entities. The minister said the bulk of the power equipment is expected to arrive in South Africa today. However, independent energy analyst Lungile Mashele has criticized the government, or its eagerness rather, to accept aid in order to avoid doing the hard work of growing the economy. She joins us now to take a look at the opinion piece that she has penned. Lungile, thank you very much for your time this morning. So you start off your piece by noting or quoting, do not trust the horse Trojans. Whatever it is, I fear the Greeks even when they bring gifts. In this particular instance, you are cautious of the gifts that have been provided by China. Why?
So I'm cautious of all gifts, not necessarily those that have been provided by China, but it's important for me to actually help you understand that we have about 170 million that is arriving in donations into the country. And these donations will will be in equipment form, and they will be utilized by police stations, by hospitals, schools, clinics, and the like. These are institutions that our government has not been able to adequately budget for a number of years. So we're accepting this aid and these donations, which on paper and on principle is a great idea. But here's where the problem really comes in. This equipment comes in. We're not entirely sure what it's going to be. Most likely generators, solar PV, inverters. Some of these things are manufactured locally. So what are you saying about local manufacturing? What are you saying about ordering from local partners that are able to develop this? This forms part of what we call technology dumping. And as a result, even government loses out on tax revenue. But a second thing also comes in. When this equipment is put in place, these institutions, police stations, clinics, hospitals, they now have to create an additional budget item, right, that looks at operations maintenance. So if you put in a generator, the very next day you need a line item that says diesel, and you need to go and procure diesel. We know how difficult it is for government institutions to procure outside of PFMA. Then over and above that, you now have operations. So somebody needs to come in on a weekly or a monthly or a 6-monthly basis to inspect this equipment, make sure that it's still operational and provide maintenance, which again is something that is not budgeted for. If this doesn't operate, then after 18 months, you're sitting with this equipment that was never used and ultimately becomes a white elephant. And these are some of the risks that we do face if we do not adequately plan for equipment and manufacturing, and to actually sort out the fundamental issue of why we do not have electricity as a country.
In fact, you speak of technology dumping. The electricity minister during the BRICS summit noted that some of the equipment is actually being shipped to South Africa at the time on Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken, or Tuesday. He said it's actually being shipped into the country as we speak, but we do not know whether this is new equipment. This is equipment that has already been used and it's just being provided to South Africa. But you also argue that the West and BRICS are clear on their intentions for us, but we do not know how to leverage our partnership with these nations for our economic prosperity. When you speak of leveraging the partnership with these blocks or countries or nations, what are you talking about?
So let's look at the BRICS nations, and let's look at Russia, India, and China. Last year, at the start of the Russia-Ukraine conflict, Russia had a massive issue with what it's going to do with its oil as well as its gas. They were able to leverage on that relationship with China and India and their proximity to each other to then use that gas. What then happened is that China and India bought that gas, bought that oil, and were then able to on-sell it. Therefore, not only assisting that Russian economy, but themselves as well. They were able to stockpile very cheap oil and able to sell it at a high premium, therefore boosting their own economies. If we look at a newcomer, for instance, Egypt coming into the BRICS plus group, they are currently building a nuclear power plant in Egypt called Al-Dabar. This is being financed and built by Rosatom of Russia. If you look at South Africa, what are we doing? Apart from holding out our hands and, as a and a begging bowl, asking for aid and asking for technical assistance, what are we doing? We've got an energy crisis in the country. Russia has oil, Russia has gas. South Africa at the moment has shut down 4 of 6 of its refineries. Only 2 are actually operating. What are we saying in terms of oil and gas? What are we saying in terms of exploration? How are we leveraging on those relationships to explore what oil and gas we have in this country? How are we leveraging on our relationship with China to look at technology partnerships? They have vast renewable technology. We have vast renewable resource in terms of wind, in terms of solar. How are we partnering in a meaningful way that will not only create jobs in this country, but grow the economy and make sure that there is local manufacturing as well?
Indeed. Unfortunately, that's all the time we can afford. Lungile Mashele is an independent energy economist.